For literature analysis assignment 3 for 10 things in muddling, you will do work that's a little bit different than what you did for literature analysis assignment 2 because these two stories are longer. I did not have you do the annotation of the stories. Instead, you'll do a reflective journal. So, just like last time, if you haven't already, you'll want to go to the content page that includes a video introduction to the writer and story, and then a link to the stories. And then once you've watched those videos and read those assignments, or read those stories, then you will answer the questions. As a reminder, you will want to make sure you're using evidence from the story. Typically, this will come in the form of a quote from the story and respond in 3 to 5 sentences. However, your quote that you choose as your evidence will not count for multiple sentences. It would only count for one of your sentences. And if you have a quote, you have to explain how that quote is supporting your idea. So in more cases than not, you're going to be looking at closer to 5 sentences per answer. You'll do that for 10 things, then muddling. But the thing I wanted to draw your attention to is the reflective journal. And what you're being asked to do in this journal is to write a paragraph of 6 to 8 sentences where you are choosing either 10 things or muddling and exploring a connection that you can make either with the story of your choosing to another text or story, to the world around you, or to yourself. And here's what this says. Both 10 Things and Muddling present characters who are trying to understand themselves, the things that have happened to them, and or the world around them. In a journal entry of at least one well-developed paragraph, explore the connections you can make with one of these two stories to yourself, to a different text, or to the world around you. Rather than listing off every connection you can establish with the story, focus on the connection and look closely at what you, as the reader, can gain from the connection you have established between this text and yourself, another text, or the world around you. Your response should be 6 to 8 well-developed sentences and should include specific examples from both the text and your life. This should be a very thoughtful, robust paragraph where you are looking for some sort of a connection between the text you choose and yourself, another text, or the world around you. You are only honing in on one of those types of connections. So you will either connect to the text to yourself, to a different text, or to the world around you. However, you will not make a connection between these two texts. So when it says that you can choose to connect the piece to a different text, if I choose 10 things, I'm not going to try to connect it to muddling. If I choose muddling, I'm not going to try to connect it to 10 things. It has to be something other than those two particular texts. In most cases, students choose to make a connection to themselves. So in 10 things, for example, while you perhaps have never lost your spouse to a sudden death, you might have had a relationship end unexpectedly. You might have experienced death or grieving in some other point. The character in 10 things is feeling a tremendous amount of guilt as a result of some things that went sideways in their relationship. You might hone in on that. For muddling, perhaps you aren't living in a constant state of paranoia because you cheated on your wife, but you might have situations that you can relate to. For example, growing up in a very small town, or feeling like you don't fit in with everyone around you, or feeling guilty about things that you personally have done that have harmed other people, or having to learn to take accountability and ownership for the decisions you've made. So there's lots of ways you can connect where it doesn't have to be, oh, I'm, this guy living in a southern town who's very, confused, or I'm a woman who lost her husband. It doesn't have to be that specific to the story. It just has to be thematically a connection. So that's basically the gist of this assignment. A final reminder that you are not to use any resources other than the story and your brain. And obviously you're welcome to consider the video that I presented to you, but you're not meant to look for outside information. That would be considered a form of academic dishonesty. Again, this is worth 5 points, and it seems like a little bit, but it's 5 points of your overall 100 points that you can earn. So this is half a letter grade that this assignment is worth if you are looking at the difference between a D and a C, 5 points means a lot. I provided the rubric to you. I encourage you to have a look at that to make sure you know how you'll be graded, and I look forward to seeing your assignments.